I spent 3 hours yesterday morning looking through a box I found in the attic. I don't go up there often. My knees don't like the stairs anymore. But I needed to find a deed, a piece of paper that proves I own this house. I didn't find the deed. Instead, I found a calendar from 1978. It was a black pocket diary. The leather was cracked. The pages were yellow. I sat on the floor, in the dust, and I read through it. Every single day was marked. Every square was filled with blue ink. Meetings, deadlines, flight numbers, dinner reservations with clients. Little stars next to the days I had to deliver a big project. I looked at that year, 1978. I was 41 years old. I was in the prime of my life. I was building a reputation. I was making money. And looking at that book yesterday, I realized something that made my stomach turn. I cannot remember a single day from that entire year. Not one. I see the words. I see meeting with Miller on March 12th. I see presentation in Chicago on July 4th. But I don't have the memory. I don't remember the weather. I don't remember what I felt. I don't remember who I came home to. It is a year of my life, a whole year of being alive on this earth, and it is gone. It was devoured by things that I thought were important at the time. I am 89 years old. My world has become very small. It consists of this living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, and the doctor's office. When your world gets this small, you are forced to look at what is actually inside it. You can't run away to the office anymore. You can't hide behind a busy schedule. You just sit and you remember, or in my case, you try to remember, and you realize how much is missing. I want to tell you about the person I used to be. I wasn't a bad man. I don't think I was, anyway. I didn't drink too much. I never hit anyone. I paid my taxes. I provided. That was the word I wore like a badge of honor, provider. I thought that life was a series of problems to be solved. I thought that if I worked hard enough, if I secured enough safety, enough money, enough status, then eventually I would arrive at the good part. I treated my life like a waiting room. I thought the real living was something that would happen later, once the mortgage was paid, once the kids were out of college, once the promotion came through. I was always leaning forward, always looking at the horizon, never looking at the ground beneath my feet. I remember my wife, God rest her soul, standing in the doorway of my study. I can see her clearly. She's wearing that blue cardigan she liked. She's holding 2 tickets to a concert. She's smiling, but it's a hesitant smile. She asked me if I can go. It's a Tuesday night. I remember looking at my watch. I remember the feeling of annoyance, not anger, just a low-level irritation that she didn't understand how busy I was. I told her I couldn't. I told her I had to prepare for a briefing. I told her, next time. She didn't argue. She just nodded, put the tickets in her pocket, and closed the door. I sat there yesterday, holding that calendar from 1978, and I tried to remember what that briefing was about. I tried to remember the client. I tried to remember the project that was so important that I couldn't spend a Tuesday evening with the woman I loved. I have no idea. I don't remember the work, but I remember the sound of the door clicking shut. That click is louder now than it was then. This is the slow damage. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not a car crash. It's a drip, a leaking faucet that you get used to hearing. You stop noticing that the bucket is filling up. You assume that people will wait for you. You assume that your children will stay 6 years old until you have time to play with them. You assume that your spouse will always be there, waiting for you to finish being important. My son comes to visit me now. He is a good man. He is 55. He looks tired. He sits in the chair opposite me and he checks his phone. He answers emails while we talk. He tells me about his work, about the stress, about the deadlines. I look at him and I see myself. I want to reach out and take the phone from his hand. I want to shake him. I want to tell him that he will not remember that email in 20 years. But I don't, because I taught him this. I taught him that worth is measured in productivity. I taught him that silence is a waste of time. I am watching him repeat my life, and I can't stop it. We talk about the weather. We talk about the news. We don't talk about how we feel. We never learned how to do that. I never taught him the language of intimacy, only the language of success. And now, there is a wall between us that neither of us knows how to break down. He leaves after an hour. He kisses me on the forehead, and I feel his beard scratch my skin. He says, "I'll see you next week, Dad." And then I am alone again. The silence in this house is heavy. It has a weight to it. It presses down on my chest. When you are young, you love the noise. You love the rush. You want to be where the action is. You want to be relevant. That is a dangerous word, relevant. It seduced me. I wanted to matter to the world. I wanted people to know my name. I wanted to be the guy who could get things done. I spent 40 years trying to be relevant to strangers, to clients who didn't care about me, to bosses who replaced me a month after I retired. I spent 40 years trying to impress people I didn't even like. And in doing so, I became irrelevant to the people who actually mattered. My daughter doesn't call much. She lives in another state. We send cards. We are polite, but there is no warmth. When she was little, she used to run into the room when I came home. She would grab my leg. She wanted to show me her drawings. She wanted to tell me about her day. And I would pat her head and say, "Not now, sweetie. Daddy's tired. Daddy has to work." I said "not now" so many times that eventually she stopped asking. She learned the lesson. She learned that she was secondary. She learned that my attention was a scarce resource that she couldn't afford. Now, I have all the time in the world. I sit here in this chair for hours. I have nothing but time. I would give everything I own, every dollar in the bank, every award on the shelf, to have that little girl run into the room and grab my leg one more time. But she is gone. She is a grown woman with a life of her own, a life that I am barely a part of. That is the quiet tragedy. You don't realize you are breaking things until they are already broken. You think you are building a foundation for the future, but you are actually digging a hole. I used to worry about the wrong things. I worried about money. I worried about what the neighbors thought. I worried about the scratch on the car. I lay awake at night, replay conversations, thinking about what I should have said to win an argument. I look back at that man, that younger version of me, and I feel pity. He was running a race that had no finish line. He was carrying a weight that nobody asked him to carry. I remember the day I retired. It was supposed to be a victory. There was a party. There was cake. People made speeches. They gave me a watch. I came home that afternoon, and I sat on the sofa. The house was quiet. I looked at the watch. It was a nice watch, and I felt nothing. I didn't feel free. I didn't feel accomplished. I felt lost. I had defined myself by my job for so long that without it, I didn't know who I was. I was a human doing, not a human being. I had no hobbies. I had no deep friendships. I had work acquaintances, sure, but once the work was gone, the phone stopped ringing. I realized then that I had no inner life. I had no garden to tend to. I had spent all my energy building the walls of the castle, and I had forgotten to put anything inside. My wife tried to help me. She tried to get me to travel. She tried to get me to join clubs, but I was restless. I was irritable. I felt like I had been put out to pasture. I didn't know how to just be. I wasted those first few years of retirement being angry that I wasn't important anymore. I wasted the last good years of my wife's life being sulky and distant. Then she got sick. It happened fast. Pancreatic cancer. From the diagnosis to the funeral was 4 months. Those 4 months were the most real months of my life. All the noise stopped. All the pretense fell away. It was just me, her, and the clock. I sat by her bed. I held her hand. Her hands were so thin. I looked at her face, the lines, the gray hair, and I saw the girl I had married, and I saw the woman I had neglected. We talked. Finally, we talked. We didn't talk about the mortgage or the leaking roof. We talked about us. I told her I was sorry. I told her I wished I had been there more. She squeezed my hand. She couldn't speak much at the end. She just looked at me with those tired eyes and said, "It's okay. You're here now. You're here now." That sentence haunts me. Because I was there, finally, but only because the end was staring us in the face. Why did it take death to make me present? Why did it take the terror of loss to make me appreciate what I had? After she died, the silence in the house changed. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It was hollow. I walked through the rooms. I saw her things, her books, her sewing basket, her coat still hanging by the door. And I realized that objects are just objects. They don't hold the spirit. They are just the debris left behind. I started getting rid of things. I started emptying the house. I threw away my awards. I threw away the plaques. I threw away the files from work. It felt good. It felt like shedding a skin that didn't fit anymore. But there are things you can't throw away. Regrets. They don't go in the trash. They sit with you at the breakfast table. They watch TV with you. They lay down next to you at night. I am not telling you this to make you sad. I am not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I am telling you this because I see you. I see you in the grocery store, rushing to get the milk, talking on your headset, ignoring the cashier. I see you in the park, pushing the swing with one hand and scrolling through your phone with the other. I see you in your cars, drumming your fingers on the steering wheel, angry at the traffic, angry at the time being stolen from you. You are so angry about the time being stolen, but you are the one giving it away. You are giving it to things that do not love you back. You are giving it to companies that will replace you in a week. You are giving it to the idea of a future that may never come. I know you think you have to do it. I know you think you have no choice. The bills, the pressure, the expectations. I know. I felt it too. It feels like a vice tightening around your head. But I am telling you, from the vantage point of the finish line, that the vice is imaginary. You can say no. You can close the door. You can turn off the phone. You can leave the dishes in the sink. The world will not end if you don't answer that email tonight. The world will not end if you make less money but have more time. But your world, your real world, the one with your wife, your husband, your children, your own heart, that world will end. It is ending right now, 1 second at a time. I sit here and I watch the light change in the room. The afternoon sun hits the dust motes dancing in the air. It is beautiful. It has always been beautiful. I just never looked. I never looked because I was too busy looking for something better. I was too busy looking for the more. There is no more. This is it. This sandwich, this cup of coffee, the sound of the rain against the window, the voice of someone you love. That is the whole thing. If you are sitting there thinking, I'll make changes next year, or I'll slow down when I get that promotion, you are lying to yourself. Later is a dream. It is a convenient lie we tell ourselves to justify the neglect of the present. I am 89. I don't have a later. I only have right now. And right now, I am an old man in a quiet house, surrounded by boxes of paper that mean nothing, wishing I could go back to a Tuesday in 1978 and just go to the concert. I would listen to the music. I would hold her hand. I wouldn't think about the briefing. I would just be there. But I can't go back. You can. You are still there. You are still in the middle of the movie. You can change the script. Don't wait until you are sitting in this chair. Don't wait until the silence is the only thing you have left. The only currency you have is your attention. Be careful how you spend it, because once it's spent, you don't get a refund.